Hi, this is Xiang Cao from AUG Signals. On behalf of my colleagues at AUG, we are glad to present our paper at SPIE Photonic-West 2021. Our paper's title is Machine Learning Techniques for Real-Time Ultraviolet Visible Spectral Analysis to Monitor Dissolved Nutrients in Surface Water. Our presentation can be divided into three sections. First, we will give an introduction of the problem we are trying to solve, which is monitoring the dissolved nutrient level in environmental surface water, such as nitrate level in rivers and lakes. And we tackle this water monitoring problem by measuring the water sample absorbance with UV-Vis Spectroscopy. The second part of the presentation introduces how we collect the training data and several common machine learning regression algorithms that we implemented. Lastly, we will discuss the results from different algorithms and reach the conclusion that machine learning approach can effectively predict the dissolved nutrient level in surface water. Eutrophication is a global environmental problem where we see excessive amount of algae growth in water bodies. Recent increase in eutrophic conditions in the Great Lake region have triggered multiple beach closures and a major drinking water intake shutdown in Toledo, Ohio in 2014. However, current nutrient monitoring practices, such as including total phosphorus, nitrogen, sulfur, and organic carbon, rely on discrete sampling events and laboratory analysis. This approach is labor-intensive, expensive, and can only account for limited information over a short time period. Such limitations call for an automated method that is inexpensive and low maintenance. One of the candidates for the automated method that the industry has been learning for is ultraviolet visible spectroscopy. The UV-Vis spectroscopy is a well-established technique for real-time analyzing contaminants in finished drinking water and wastewater. Here we briefly describe our AUG signal spectral system setup. The optical light source covers both UV and visible range, which is 200 to 850 nanometer. The light enters a monochromator and got dispersed and then travels through water sample and eventually detected by the spectrometer at the end. In this setup, we are calculating the water sample absorption by comparing to a reference water. Nitrate has a strong absorption peak around the 300 nanometer region as shown in the image. This makes it possible for quantitative prediction of its content when minimum noise is present. However, river water have more complex chemical composition than drinking water, which introduce cross-interference from suspended particles and dissolved organic carbon, which also absorbs light along similar wavelengths. In surface water, there is also lower concentration of NO3 comparing to wastewater. To overcome these challenges, the paper develops a machine learning approach to utilize the entire spectral wavelengths for accurate estimation of low concentration of dissolved nutrients from surface water background. Machine learning techniques can be employed to take advantage of high-dimensional spectral wavelength features in order to estimate the contaminants in surface water. In the first phase of the project, we focused on nitrate among all nutrient contaminants. We collected surface water sample from Detroit River, which is binationally regulated by Canada and the United States. The data are collected across several months in summer 2018 on a weekly basis. Water samples are collected in duplicate. One sample was used for UV-Vis spectral absorption analysis, and the other sample is submitted for laboratory analysis to confirm nitrate concentration. This NAB analysis result will be used as the ground truth for our training data. For each water sample, we use a spectrometer to take 9 acquisitions to obtain 9 spectra. The image on the top right corner plotted all 9 spectra. Theoretically, these 9 lines should align with each other perfectly, but due to spectral noise and water sample noise, that is rarely the case. Taking multiple acquisitions helps the data set become robust against those noises. The second step is to spike each group of samples with different concentration of nitrate standard solutions. The purpose of this step is to create more variance of the nitrate value in the sample so that the machine learning model can better capture those differences. The image at lower right corner shows the spectral absorption curve for one of the sample group. In total, our training dataset consists of 31 water sample groups collected from Detroit River and 1665 spectral samples. Although the spectrometer can capture a wider range of region, we kept our training data to be within 221 to 600 nanometer, as there are excessive noise beyond this range. This range gave us a total number of 380 features. Among many machine learning algorithms, we shortlisted the following 8 regression models to experiment on the surface water nutrient prediction application. We selected a wide range of algorithms in different realms in order to find the best performing predictive model. We started our experiment with linear regression and partial least squares regression, which are commonly used in chemistry regression tasks. According to the Beer's law, the optical absorption due to nitrate is approximately linear to its concentration, so linear regression can serve as a great baseline model. Partially squared regression is a statistical method that reduces the predictors to a smaller set of uncorrelated components and performs least square regression on these components. PLS regression is especially useful when the predictors are highly collinear, such as spectral measurement in our application. Ensemble regression combines several base regression models and create a stronger model to achieve better robustness and accuracy over a singular model. We use a popular Baggy ensemble model, random forest, which generates averaged prediction of randomized decision trees. The Gaussian process regression is a non-parametric Bayesian approach where the interpolated values are modeled by a Gaussian process governed by prior covariance, which is kernel. The GPR has several benefits that working well on small datasets and having the ability to provide uncertainty measurements on the predictions, but may lose efficiency in high-dimensional feature spaces. The 3 models shown in bold text turn out to be the best performing models in our experiment and will be described in the next 3 slides in greater details. The multi-layer perception model is a class of feed-forward artificial neural network to mimic the working of neuron in human brain for learning of nonlinear regression relationship. In our implementation, we use a shallow multi-layer perception network with one hidden layer of size 20. Support vector machine regression is considered one of the most robust prediction methods. It will find an optimal separating hyperplane to maximize margin between different groups of data. It can efficiently perform a nonlinear regression using what is called the kernel trick, implicitly mapping their inputs into high-dimensional feature spaces. In our experiment, we implemented the radial basis function and the linear kernel. After evaluating several machine learning models, we move on to experiment deep learning models. Convolutional neural network is a class of deep neural nets most commonly applied to analyzing visual imagery. Convolutional neural networks are variants of multi-layer perceptions designed to exploit the strong spatially correlation present in neighboring pixels in images. UV-Vis spectrophotometers acquire spectral data using one-dimensional detection array such as CCD or CMOS detector, where neighboring wavelengths are correlated. This spatial correlation is similar to 2D images. We constructed a 3D CNN architecture of 5 layers in a sequence of convolution, max pooling, convolution, max pooling, and dense layers. 2 activation functions are considered in convolutional neural network algorithms: the linear activation function and the rectified linear activation function, also called as ReLU. Long short-term memory is a class of recurrent neural networks which can capture temporal relation in data. As shown in the diagram, LSTM model features input gate, output gate, and forget gate. which can learn to recognize input and store it in a long-term state, forget it if we don't need it, and extract it when it's needed. Although our training data are not temporal data that have time series relation, their correlation along spectral wavelength pixels presents similar short-term memory behavior. So it's also worth investigating to apply the LSTM in spatial data.